Welcome to the Enlightenment podcast. This is me and Orlando Johnson, Ascend Beyond. We're just discussing the meta a little bit, and we're going to go into racism and is it really relevant for today? So Orlando, we were discussing earlier about the meta and what it truly means. So what do you think, what is it really talking about? It's talking about a book. Or is it talking about, a religion or something that's just written on the walls? Or does it have a deeper meaning to it?
Yeah. I mean, when you say Medu, you're basically saying Mother Nature. Everything is tied into nature, and everything is tied back into your DNA, and everything's tied back into, your spirit, man, or your spirit growing through avenues of connecting to nature. And the Medu is trying to point you in that direction. It's almost like a schoolmaster to be able to get you to grow. And even when you look at nature in that aspect, it's supposed to show you how you're connected to Mother Nature, how you're connected to the elements, the outside elements, physically and spiritually.
Right. Yeah, they teach this in the temples, in the they call it ancient Kemetic, teachings. And, they teach you, in order to get into the temple, to learn the Medu, you have to be allowed within the temple. It's pretty much talking about, not just an outside temple, but it's talking about something taking place inside of you. It's the same process, we get a lot of knowledge and we read a lot of books, but if your heart is not open, if that doorway is not open from your heart for that energy to flow through freely, and you receive that what they call your enlightenment moment, then all you're going to be doing is getting knowledge, and you're not going to really understand the deep meanings of these things. But, the Medu, it all ties into Mother Nature. Medu, Mother Nature. So it's all dealing with nature and what's taking place on the outside of what we see within this world, within the nature of this world. And it's really talking about what's taking place inside the human being. More importantly, the mother, whenever she is growing life within her, we need to study that nature and how it's taking place. And once we know how that takes place, what the sperm has to go through within that mother and the process that it has to take, then you understand why on this, what they call the third dimension level, why humans are going through certain things, why human beings are not really connecting like we would want them to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you look at the temples or the pyramids, it's like a triangle. It's small at the top, and at the bottom it spreads out. Now, why is this? It's because more people are learning on the ground level, and as you move up within, the teachings and within your knowledge, your soul continues to expand. Then you go up from level to level. There's not as many people on that top level. That top level is that enlightened level for the souls that are prepared to leave what I call this body. And like I tell people all the time, if you were in two bodies, which is your father and your mother, please believe that whenever you left your mother, you landed into another body. Okay, you already left two. now you got to be in another body. Okay, so when we're talking about Medu, this is nature. This is us. We need to learn what's going on inside of us. So yeah, that's what
I think that when you really look at the, I have a little bit of a different span on the triangle. I think the triangle, you start at the bottom because you learn how to not necessarily, but through your ascension process, you learn how to become one with everything. So you go from being this bloated solar experience that's triangle kind of does that, right? So you're at the bottom and you're this bloated soul who has no form, who has no shape, who has no identity, who has no discipline, no self-control. And then as you begin to ascend beyond that level of your life, you begin to merge with everything that is, and you become all things and nothing at the same time, which is you realizing that you're connected to all things. So the triangle is a representation of the growing of who you are and what you are. It's the same way in marriage. Once you learn how to marry yourself, you then become a triangle, right? You have the husband and the wife, and they're going up this ladder together, trying to learn how to become this one powerful entity within one home. And so, I believe the Medu are that's why they use triangles a lot, because this is so powerful whenever you think about that whole platform and, the meaning of it and how the body is shaped. It's just a lot that goes into that. And you was talking about knowledge, and I was thinking about this for the last several weeks, man. And I'm looking at a lot of people who are attaining knowledge, and everybody's getting knowledge, and everybody's learning about the history. But I think the problem whenever they're gaining this knowledge is the knowledge is consuming them, and they're not becoming the knowledge as a whole. And because they're allowing all of this information to consume their very essence, to consume them, it's actually it seems to be lowering their discipline. They feel like they're better than everyone else, instead of realizing that, hey, everyone needs to know where I am. They feel like they have all the answers and no one can reach them. They're not teachable anymore. So in essence, gaining information, gaining knowledge can backfire on you. And I think that's kind of what we see happening, because even within the comedic realm or the comedic science, you'll realize that even if you say religion or Christianity or whatever, it came from that throughout the periods of time. Well, even in that information, it still started with some sort of form of religion. But when you learn how to break away from that and you realize that, everybody has a part of the truth, and we all need each other in order to grow. So in a sense, gaining knowledge can become an issue. Gaining too much, or you can gain knowledge, but the knowledge can ultimately transform your thought process and lower the vibration of your soul. While you think you're getting smarter, your solar ascension is being hindered because you're not balancing yourself out with the information you're gaining in order to give it properly. It's coming out very egotistically, or it's coming out in different forms because there's no balance within yourself with the knowledge, because it has consumed you.
Exactly, man. That knowledge. And even in the biblical teachings, it says the knowledge of good and evil. There's knowledge of good. There's knowledge of what they call evil. Mm-hmm. So the knowledge could be used, two different ways, even though these things are really working together.
I think it is good and evil. I don't think it's I think a better translation should have been the knowledge is good and evil. Because look at this. Look at what we're doing right now, right? Like this is how it works. This is why that we're trapped in a dualistic system. The information that we're giving to us, it should be informative. To some, it is very helpful, but to others, in cognitive dissonance, it is harmful to their essence, to their state of being. So therefore, it makes the information that we're giving evil. So now you have knowledge given one way, but perceived as both. Right. This is the issue that we have. This is the thing I was trying to explain a few minutes ago about this knowledge and why knowledge is good and evil, because you can't give one without the other. That's how powerful we are.
Right. And, I don't think it's really a bad thing, because everybody's on different levels. Everybody is, their soul is growing on different levels. It don't matter how physically old you are. There's some souls that may be 18, 19 years old, that may be more mature than a person that's physically 65 or 70 years old, because of where they are. You know, it may be their time to leave this body. That's why the Bible talks about chosen, you know. And I always make the point about, you know, studying Mother Nature and studying that sperm cell. All those sperms did not make it into that egg, right? It was only one or a few, you know. But there's a millions of those sperms that went into their body, right? But so why only one made it? Because all those sperms cannot make it into the egg. You know, it's not realistic for a million sperms to come out of one one woman, you know, but there's one that makes it to the egg, you know. So it's meant for people to learn at a certain level, and everybody is not going to understand what's being said, you know. And I always say you can't teach a third grader trigonometry. They're not going to comprehend that. So they may see it as something that's bad or, you know, something that's wrong because of where they are in their life, you know, and it's meant for them to be there, you know. But there are some souls that stay stagnant. They go like a roller coaster, like a merry-go-round. I mean, when they sit in that seat, they go around a circle over and over and over again, you know, and they stay right there. But there are some souls, they continue to move forward. They don't stay stagnant. You know, they continue to expand and they continue to rise. And a lot of the time it's meant for people to stay where they are. This is their journey right now. You know, they may get it later, but right now this is where they need to be for their journey. Okay? Everybody's not meant to leave this body at the same time, but eventually everybody will leave this body. That's what I believe. Okay, that's why in the biblical, you know, in the Bible, it says from faith to faith and glory to glory. You go from level to level. You go from understanding to understanding. And there's different levels of truth. Everybody is speaking some type of truth on their level, how they perceive it, wherever they are in their life.
And it's necessary. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, wherever they are in their life, they are speaking truth. You know, so there's different levels of truth. You know, it's just not perceived the same way on every level, but it's really talking about the same thing, but more on as you go up in the grades, you get things more specific, just like in school. Whenever you go up in grades, you're learning things more specifically. Things are more in depth, okay? Whenever you're going up from level to level. But it's still talking about the same thing, just more in depth. That's why most of us grew up on the foundation, and we seen it, you know, when we leave that foundation, we may see it as wrong. Like, man, they taught us this, and this is not right. This is not the full story. So sometimes a lot of us, especially in the conscious community, they get mad at the church and the religions because how they're teaching things. But whenever you come here, these foundations are needed. They're needed. It's just like you tell your kids stories so that they can understand on their level. You're not going to tell them you're not going to tell your kids the same story that you tell, you know, maybe somebody that's your age. You're going to tell them in a way to where they understand on their level. Right?
Right.
Well, so there's different levels to it, you know, but it's our job to continue to grow. And we'll know when it's time to go to another level. You have that experience. You have that dream. You have that awakening, enlightenment moment and say, man, there's more to it than this. But until people get that awakening or that dream or something that came into their life to where it pushed them forward, then they're going to be there.
Yep.
But everybody don't get those dreams or those awakening or enlightenment moments. They don't get that. But when they do get it, they'll know. It's going to be undeniable. Whenever you had your dreams, they were undeniable, right? It pushed you forward, right? It made you research and it made you seek for more.
It did. And then a lot of times, as you're going through the ascension process, you start looking back on the things that you dreamed about and the things that you wrote about, and you'll realize what it actually meant, the way you thought at one point in your life, and then how you think now or how you think in the present moment when you're going through your process, you'll see there you do have a great level of maturity in how you view these processes, these dreams, and these different visions that you have. And know this, that it's okay to feel silly. I think one of the hardest things for me was to realize that you feel silly when you look back. I have a book where I was writing down things and going through my growing pains, and I was looking at some of the stuff I was writing, and I was just so zealous, so zealous. Then when I began to learn the context, and then I went from the context to the hidden meanings, and then from the hidden meanings to the cosmetic, to the astrology, understanding of astrology, and how that all ties into it, and how everything is laced with a piece of foundational truth. The moment you walk out your door for work, the kids you see getting on the bus, that experience, that moment is a part of truth. It's a part of you learning the truth, because everybody, as I said earlier, everybody has a part of the truth. And the only way we can find the whole truth is if everyone put all of their truths in one. And then we'll be able to see exactly what's going on and how we continue throughout this process.
Exactly, man. Exactly. But we must continue to grow, man. And in this journey, man, I mean, this journey is great, man. I mean, especially once you start to figure out what's really going on and learning certain things, man, this journey, it gets exciting because, man, it's like, man, every day I gain more. I learn a little bit more, and then you can be in the midst of the storm and you can be calm because you know what's taking place. You know why you're in this storm. You know why the storm is going on around you. You don't run from it because you know what's taking place. You know that you're on learning grounds.
Yep.
And that you're going to see duality. You're going to see all these things take place because the soul must grow. The positive and the negative energy must work together in order for the soul to grow.
You can't have the yin without the yang.
Right.
One of the things that I demonstrate when I talk about this is I talk about racism and how everybody talks about the agenda on racism, right? I mean, you have these people who are pro-black, and it's fine. I mean, that's cool, whatever they subscribe to. But then you have people who are pro-life, and whenever you look at this thing, what they like to call the agenda of racism. The very ones that talk about kill the white man or whatever the case may be, they're actually becoming the agenda. They are feeding the agenda. This is how the system, or this dualistic nature system works. But when you study the science of cosmology, you realize that day and night has always been in amity against one another. The difference between our lower state of consciousness and the consciousness of the cosmos is the cosmos has learned how to exist together, whereas we're still trying to figure it out as a species of people, because we are only a replica of nature, from the cosmos to the grass on the ground. And the moment that we realize that, I think that we'll be able to start realizing how we can grow and how we can exist together on this physical planet. But until then, we'll only continue to be the agenda instead of seeing the agenda.
Right. And we need to see the agenda. And you know what? A lot of time it's not meant for people to understand or see the agenda or what's really taking place behind the scenes. It's not, because they must grow to that point to where they can take it or they can endure certain things. The soul has to be strong enough and mature enough to understand what's going on behind the scenes. You're not going to tell your kids everything that's going on in your life because you want them to be comfortable where they are. So you're not going to mention everything what's taking place in your life. You may be going through hard times, but you don't want your kids to know that. You don't want to show that in front of your kids because they may not be able to endure that within themselves. So whenever the soul is strong enough, then you will receive that information and you will, understand what's taking place. But until the soul is mature and strong enough to receive that type of information, it's not meant for them to understand it. That's why whenever you study the sperm, some sperms lose their way because it's not meant for them to go that direction towards the egg as of yet. That light within them never dies. That physical sperm dies, but that soul within that sperm does not die. It moves on out that body, and and it may come back in another way. But that light within that body does not die. Just that physical sperm cell may die within that body. Just like humans, that light within that human, that soul never dies. That physical body may, but that soul goes on. It may stay in this body and come back around. And some of the souls will leave. But it's a process. Like we talked about in the last podcast, everything is working in divine order. People don't want to believe that, but everything is working in divine order. We have choices. We can make choices. We have a will. But our will is set in place. We can only use that will. We're limited. Put it like that. Our will is limited. So our mind, we can't really comprehend everything that's taking place. Some souls, they can comprehend more than others because of where they are. But it's meant for us to only be able to comprehend certain things. Where we are right now, we can only comprehend certain things. So we can only make certain choices. But everything still is working in divine order.
Yes, it is, man. But yeah, man, I definitely feel like as we progress through this life, as we make kids, as we start families, as we lose jobs, as we gain jobs, I think that in order for some people to be able to cope with life being what it is, I like to call it an experience. An experience to where there's something that you needed to learn here on this planet. And there is no right or wrong. There's only the experience that you experience. And it helps to me whenever I say that, it kind of helps people breathe a little bit. Because if I say divine order, although that's what it is, the experience is, because everything's you come here with a blueprint. The blueprint is for you to learn something. And everything that you go through is something that you're learning. It's called the experience. And when I say divine order, it smothers the idea of them having an experience, and it gives them more of a I don't know, just like a what's the word, like a robot. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I can't think of the word right now, but it makes them feel like they're not human, like they're just existing, and they can't feel and touch and taste and have this opportunity. They can't have opportunities because it was already meant to be. I can fathom that. I can understand that things are already in order, and every step you take is an experience that you've already laid out the blueprint when you were in God mode, if I want to say that, before you came here, or wherever you were. You may have ascended. You could have been in a lower level of existence and ascended higher. But each level, as you ascend higher, is only the levels in which you've progressed. You've already laid out the blueprint of these levels because you were once at a higher level, and then you descended, and now you're ascending again. So some people just have a difficult time with that, man. Pastors, preachers, everybody I talk to. Even if I talked to one guy, and I explained to him, I said, you're telling me that God created heaven and hell, and he gave free will within this heaven and hell experience. God is omniscient, which means he knows all things, which means that he knows that when he created hell, you were already going there. If you were already going to hell because he already knew that, but gave you an illusion of free will, then what are you really doing on this planet? Was Judas made just to betray Jesus and go to hell, killing himself? Was his whole blueprint? So this physical being down here to earth just to go through that? Or do you consider it being an experience? And every experience has a blueprint so that people can have a solar ascension. I'm not saying these are physical characters, but I'm just using this as an analogy to, I was using it at the time as an analogy to talk to this particular pastor to let him know that, there is no hell. These are experiences, and you are a divine creator. If you literally believe there is a hell, when you die, you will create a hellish experience, or you will create that hell. And every Sunday that you preach that to someone else, you're giving another being who may be younger an opportunity to believe that. And so if they die at a young age, they could create a hell for themselves because they are creators. You are divine consciousness. And this conversation just goes on and on and on and on. And it's a scary thought. It's a scary thought.
All right. I mean, me personally, man, I think the reason why I say everything is in divine order, because I'm looking at it at the standpoint of how we can actually go research and see how we begin as far as the cell goes and how the cell works, and everything is going in divine order. Like I said, it's not meant for everybody to get all the cells to get to that egg. Whenever you're talking to people that are on a certain level as far as religion goes, they're only going to understand things on that level. You cannot make them understand it any better. You can reword it, but they're still only going to understand it at that level. No matter if you understand what you're saying to them, or you might try to change the terminology up a little bit to get them to understand. But if it's not meant for them to understand it, then guess what? They're not going to understand it. They're not going to get it. The Bible talks a lot about chosen people, but it's talking about the chosen ones that are about to leave the body. Okay. These are the chosen people that the Bible are talking about. It's not a black or white thing. It's something that takes place within. And even the Bible says a Jew is something that's inwardly. It's something that a process that happens within you. This is about the soul growing and maturing and expanding. Okay. Whenever the soul is ready to leave this body, it will receive certain information in order for it to prepare to leave the body. If a soul is not prepared, or is not time for that soul to leave the body, then these souls are not going to receive that level of information. That's what it is. It is what it is. That's why I always say study meta or the mother's nature. Once you study the mother's nature, then you know what's taking place. We can't get around it. It's working the same way on every level. We think that we're not in a body because we don't see it. But if you left your father and your mother, guess what? You was in two bodies. You think you in another body?
Right.
Yeah. It is what it is.
You go from body to body.
Level to level.
Level to level. Experience to experience.
Right. Right.
And I think, like I said, for me, the most exciting thing about learning and experiencing and realizing all of this information is realizing that the supreme level of peace of mind that one gets in this experience and in this growth is really unexplainable. It's unmatched. not saying that there aren't moments where you're down and where you're, you're going through phases of life and you're questioning, because now your whole view about this God and this sense of God has really changed the dynamics in which how you communicate. It changed the dynamics in which how you act, your behavior with everything and everyone around you. Now, instead of being more like, nice or humble about it, I'd rather be more honest about it. I realized that I have to say the truth. I have to be honest with the individual and not just extremely nice. I think when I was mostly in Christianity or in religion, I wanted to be extremely nice and not hurt anyone or not come off as arrogant or cocky. But now I realize that I have to just say the truth. I have to say, hey, this is what it is. But I have a extreme level of peace in that, in knowing that now. That I can do and say that, and I don't have to get out of hand. I don't have to say anything ridiculous. I mean, when and what to say, and what and what not to say, and how to say it. That's the key. How you say it. It's not what you say, but how you say it all the time. That's what I always heard. But coming into this information has been beneficial to me because I realized that even because I had to go through the phases why I hated Christianity, I hated religion, I hated this and I hated that, but then I realized that everything is necessary because it's all a part of the growth process. From the evangelical Christianity, from the stolen knowledge and during the Hellenistic Roman era, doing the Kemetic science, and the levels to understanding on that. It's levels to everything, and then the consumption of knowledge can literally consume you physically, mentally, and spiritually if you're not careful with the knowledge you attain. Get knowledge, but get understanding, get wisdom. How you utilize the knowledge births your wisdom. And just because you're knowledgeable and older doesn't mean you're wise. I learned that too.
Exactly. Like we said earlier, there's people physically younger that have more mature souls than people that may be physically older. But I mean, that's just what it is, man. I mean, we go through this journey and we always talk about it for soul growth, man. We have to go through the stages, go through the levels. There's no purpose or no reason to get mad at people that are in religion, because that is a foundation. Me and you, we both started with that foundation. When we got out of that foundation, we didn't understand why it was taught the way that it was taught. But where we are today, we have a better understanding of why they have to go through that process. Your seed has to be planted in good ground. You have to know the basics of what's taking place. And religion teaches that. Now, some of the things in anything, some things, it may be bad, how things are going, or how the motives of people that's teaching it, but it's still a foundation for us. No matter how we look at it, there's nothing wrong with it. People have to go through it. And then you'll go through another process. You'll get out of it and you'll learn more, and you get excited about what you're learning. You'll see the pure, like me, I went from Christianity to the ancient Kemetic science, and I began to learn where all the religions came from, as far as what we know. And from there, I didn't stop there. I continued to move forward and continue to grow. I began to receive more and more information. It was like doors were opening within me. I would receive more and more information, and I continued to move. I didn't close myself up, because I got some religion out of Christianity and I went into Kemetic science. I didn't close myself up to that and stayed right there and said, "Oh, this is it." I kept on moving forward, man. You have to continue to move forward. I mean, people, they'll get some knowledge, they'll get some information, and they'll stay right there. They don't want to move from that spot.
I think it's like that because people want to have a sense of knowing when we really don't know anything at all, and everything is just an experience. Everybody wants to have an answer. And so whenever they find something that they think is right, they cling and they hold to that. They'll point the finger at religion and say, "You guys don't know, y'all sleep." But then whenever they get a certain amount of information, they'll sit there just like someone would do in religion. They sit there with the information. They don't realize that you're not done growing yet. Because every level of knowledge and every level that we go to in this experience called life has a part of truth. Truth has gray, and it's a lot of parts to truth that we need is like puzzles we have to put together. And every individual person is a part of that puzzle. So every encounter is an experience that you need in order to gain a certain level of truth. Doesn't mean you look back where you come from and say, hey, that's false. No, it's just levels.
Right.
It's levels. It's levels. You have to go through those different levels in order to attain this collective understanding of what truth is. And the truth is, and we don't have all the truth because we're limited on this physical planet. We're limited to what we know. Even down to racism. I hear people talk about racism. Racism from the black and white standpoint, and from the different cultures and the different and the indigenous people of the land. I mean, the fact of the matter is no one owns anything on this planet. No one owns not one physical tree, grass, nothing. Rock, we own nothing. We're just simply here, and we're the youngest of the species to be here. And I hear people talk about DNA and these different types of DNA that makes up different strands of DNA and how melanin is this and melanin is that. I mean, that's fine, but who the individual actually is, the actual soul, the actual spirit of the individual, they are not their flesh. You're enslaved to the idea that you attain this level of knowledge, and just because a person has white skin, fair skin, that they're a part of the actual skin that they're in, the particular vessel that they're driving is information for that particular time frame in which they're existing in that particular experience. But it does not make that individual that particular physical entity at the moment. They are still a spiritual consciousness, spiritual conscious being having a physical experience. That's all they are. So when I talk to people, even people who claim to be knowledgeable and full of all of this information and have no balance within themselves they don't really see it's amazing. It's amazing. You look at it and you're just like, wow, man, that's crazy.
Right. Just like I said earlier, that's where they are. That's where they understand. That's the level that they're learning on. Okay. They have these. They're dealing with the dualistic thing, going back and forth from good and evil. Not understanding that both of these things are working together for your good. It's to bring you to oneness within. Okay. That's why, whenever you were saying earlier about there's different pieces to the puzzle. Even in the Kemetic science, they teach you a star got cut up into what? 14 pieces, right? And a set had to find all the pieces to God. A star is God. Okay, so you have to find all the pieces to God. There's pieces to the puzzle. Okay, you cannot stay at one piece of the puzzle and think you have the full body of what they call God. You have to continue to search and seek and find the missing pieces to the puzzle. And you'll eventually put the puzzle together, and then you'll have a better understanding of what's taking place whenever you put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Okay? Right. Yeah, so you have to continue to move forward on this journey. There's levels of truth. There's levels of understanding. There's levels of what the Bible will call faith to faith and glory to glory. There's different levels that you go through in order to continuously grow within yourself, for your soul to continuously to grow. Yeah, so the racism thing is just a level that you have to go through so that you can get an understanding of what's really taking place. It may look bad on the outside, but it's something that's taking place inside of you. It's causing you to grow as you see these things happen. It's making you stronger within once you see these things happen. Okay? These things are put in place for a purpose. These things are not just happening. It's meant for these things to happen. Because you have to learn something from these things.
Yes.
That's why they will continue to take place. You're not going to see no kumbaya moment here. This is learning grounds. You have to go through these different experiences in order for your soul to have those experiences and grow. Okay. Yeah.
That's right, man. Well, it's been real, man, and I think we gave a lot of good edifying points for people who are really going through. And I think one of the things you want to stress to people is that the information, some may call it pseudo, or some may call it enlightenment, or whatever the case may be, but it's necessary because there are some people out there who need the information, or who's seeking this type of information because they're going through that process where they feel like they don't know, but they know something's not right. They can't pinpoint what it is. And a lot of times whenever you're trying to find it, you don't know how to say, oh, this is what it is, but you know deep down within yourself that something's not right. Especially if you're going through a different level of trying to understand God and find yourself in religion, or find yourself in spirituality, and you know um, even within what you eat. I know some people are vegetarians and some people don't eat certain type of meats, or certain type of foods, and I mean, it's cool and everything, and for health reasons, I suggest that, but that still does not affect how you're growing spiritually. It's only showing you that you're learning discipline for your own body, which is good. But if you have no love in your heart, no love, joy, peace, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, faithfulness, self-control, patience, like these are attributes of your divine self. And eating certain foods and not eating certain foods, and not having these attributes activated within your divine self, um, that is the essential part. So some people I know who may be obese, or they may have an eating disorder, but they're the most loving human beings. They're very intelligent, very in tune with their spiritual self, but they may have an eating disorder. Or they may not eat as clean as one would like. And but I definitely think that that's another thing that we can probably talk more about on a later date, man. But yeah, I feel like this was a lot of helpful information for some
All right,
people.
man. And I tell people this all the time, man. I use my experience as an example. Whenever I had my what I call enlightenment moment, I was 250 pounds. I was on meat. You know, that didn't stop me from having my awakening or enlightenment moment. You know, I didn't get off the meat till later on. I was receiving high frequency visions. I was receiving high frequency, information on the meat, on this food. So that told me right then and there, it's not all about what you're putting within your body. Whatever you're putting within your body is for you to be able to control. That's why I got off of it. I learned how to control what I was placing within my body. I wanted to be able to control my senses. Okay, what I was watching, what I was listening to. I began to control, even the thoughts that come to you. I began to learn how to, shut the ones I didn't need out. But this is a process. You're learning how to control your being. Okay,
Right.
That's what it's more so about. Then, okay, I'm gonna eat good. If I eat clean, then I may ascend, within myself. It does not work that way.
It doesn't.
You have to be ready and prepared. Within your heart is the main thing. Your heart has to be ready and clean and prepared in order to receive that level of enlightenment within you. Okay, if it's not, then it don't matter what you put in your system.
Yeah.
Okay.
So true.
Yeah.
Your body feeds off of the things that Mother Nature provides naturally, and your soul feeds off the frequencies that Mother Nature's give, the frequencies of the sun, the frequencies of the wind, the frequencies of the music you listen to, of the words that people are speaking to you. That is what your soul eats. So therefore, if you're eating or consuming all the time negative music, or if you're not connected to nature, if you're not getting some sunlight, if you're not walking outside from time to time and breathing in fresh air, this isn't food naturally. This is food for your soul growth. All of that affects how you perceive and intake everything around you. Also, it affects how one person can receive certain levels of information. This and a good pointer to that it would be this: a person who is more on a religious platform can look at what we're saying. I'm not saying all people who are on a religious platform. I'm gonna say some who are on a religious platform can look at the information that we're given, and according to how their soul is ascending within their own physical shell, will determine, or their heart will determine, how they're going to consciously and subconsciously receive this information. This isn't anything to do with the food they eat, but it has everything to do with how their soul is shaped within their own DNA. Your physical body needs physical food, but your soul or your consciousness needs frequencies. It feeds off frequencies, and the frequencies are the things that you cannot see,
right?
But you can. You just can't see them physically. You
Right.
experience them.
Right, and it's all there, man. I think once you get to a certain point, your soul is mature and grown to a certain point. I think your body, and whenever you become in control of your physical body, your physical body have submitted to the inner being, which is the soul. Then you don't have to eat as much. You can say, okay, you can decide. You'll know when to put something in your system. You'll know when, to watch certain things or listen to certain things. You'll know when to do these things, because the soul is in control, But I mean, it's good. It's real good that people are teaching, eating, having a healthy body, putting the right things within your temple, because these things do help, you physically on this journey. It'll help you begin to see things more clear and so forth. But
right.
It's not the main thing. It's not the main thing. Okay, it's just helpful tools.
It's a part of that puzzle.
Right. It's just a piece, just a little piece of the puzzle.
That's it, man. Well, man, I have to get out of here. It's been real. I know we live on Facebook and we're live also recording on the podcast. And we gotta say it, man.
Yeah, but we just have to tell it like it is from now on. I know we try to speak to people, from from where we came from, which is in the religious, arenas. But we just have to speak how it's coming out of us. We let it freely flow out of us. We don't have to change our terminology for what we think will fit, somebody else. Just be free to be you and speak how you want to speak. And the people that are meant to receive it will receive the information. Okay. Some people, they won't get it because of where they are. And we understand that. But wherever we are, we have to speak what is coming from within us. We have to reveal or give the revelation that's what coming from within us, so that people that are ready to receive the information can freely and receive the information that we have to give. So yeah, man, I appreciate you joining tonight, man. I know it was a spur of the moment type thing, but I appreciate you stepping in and speaking on the meta speaking on, race, and speaking on what's really taking place behind the scenes. Okay, some people may not see, but I appreciate you, Orlando, coming on, man. And we're gonna touch bases again Friday. We have a panel Friday. It's gonna be about 7 p.m. Central Time. All right.
Yes, T.
Much love to everybody, and as I always say, be enlightened. Y'all have a good night.
Be enlightened. Peace.